Hello everyone and welcome to our very first live coding and seal of the year. I'm Johnny, I'll be your host today and we'll be coding together. First time of the year, we've done a lot of Fridays in 2022 and it's time to start the streak again in 2023. We've been doing a lot of SvelteKit and we will be doing SvelteKit today. Not only has SvelteKit reached release 1 point something, we're at 1.8 already. So I'm very excited to see if I still got it and what the SvelteKit has brought to the table. If you've watched before, you know that I love showing things that are more realistic. I don't like doing just small demo projects or non-applicable cool looking projects that don't go anywhere, just a single page that looks awesome, but that's about it. But I do try to make something real if I can, with real people that I know, maybe friends, maybe clients, whatever else. And today I'll be trying to start a brand new SvelteKit site for a portfolio project. There is this team that has been doing YouTubes and TikToks. TikToks have kind of been taken off and they want something like this, which has something that's been popular for quite a while, a nice impressive looking video on the background. With the stream quality you may not be able to see that the keyframe logo here is actually encoded in the video, so it looks, in my eyes and in my screen, it looks pixelated, let's say that, instead of being overlaid as an HTML element, which would make it look extremely crisp and nice. But usually you'd have like this sort of white element up front, that's your company's logo or something like that, something inspiring. On the background, maybe a bit faded out, you'd have a nice video that makes you want to explore more, and then you go on to the rest of the site, which may be mobile friendly, maybe not. It's definitely not mobile first. I don't know, like hamburger menus, they look cool. You can have like an animation. I don't know if you need them for a few links, but this isn't a case study of some other site, but something that will be ending up doing for this project will be starting today. Something that this page doesn't have is dark mode, but that's what we will be doing today. I've had done a couple live streams on dark mode and creating dark mode with SvelteKit and a video on how to do it, but now with SvelteKit 1 point something, with SvelteKit release, things have changed and people have been asking to revisit this. So before I do a proper video about how to do theme mode in 2023, nowadays I wanted to do a stream and try to figure it out together. I have some ideas. I've watched a few other videos. I've seen a few more ideas from others on how you can do it, comments as well, and I'm thankful to all of them. And we'll see if they work today. We have done dark mode in TechieCat, you may well remember, and the key here is that we want to avoid the flash that you get in some other sites where you go to the site, you click to toggle the theme, you say, oh, I actually want dark mode here, and then you refresh and it flashes white first, and then some JavaScript runs, and then it goes to what you want. We've managed to avoid this, but we haven't avoided the auto setting. So if you don't have a cookie that specifies that you want the dark theme or the light theme, it first loads whatever flavor of the site has been served last, and then if your OS setting does not match that, you do get the flex. So we'll try to avoid that today on our new site, and that's the plan. I hope everybody's been doing well. I hope everyone is ready for a fun dark mode experience, and we will be starting as many times before with the SvelteKit wizard. Let's have a look to see how the SvelteKit wizard is holding up in 2023. So on my terminal, all I need to do is run this command. The project is called Moving Skips, if I remember correctly, but we can change this later. We want this dependency, that's for sure. And I just want a skeleton project. And unlike the Svelte team, I still think that TypeScript is the way to go here and not JavaScript with JSDoc comments. Although JavaScript with JSDoc is better in my eyes than plain JavaScript. Like, I do want the type safety, but just the annotations are so wonky to me. Let's do EaseLint, let's do prettier. Let's not do playwright because I prefer setting it up myself. Let's do vtest as well. No need for that video of mine anymore. It's right in the wizard. That's exciting. Oof, I did it in the wrong folder. So let's see if we can fix that. Hopefully it didn't bring all the dependencies from there, because that'd be bad. So let's move that here. Great, we have the project. We can npmi, install all our dependencies. Should be quite a few, but shouldn't take too much. We're in this step 2, npm install. And we can start the Git project as well. Once the installations are done, and I can start my timer as well. As I often say, I have this noodle timer, which helps me keep the energy up throughout the stream. So let's initialize this. Let's have something more fun. Emoji, market. And then, what does this suggest? It suggests to npm run dev, and we can manually go to that place. So still running on localhost 5173. Welcome to SvelteKit. No CSS, I imagine, and no CSS reset here. So it looks quite funky, but we'll manage. And next up, let's see some code. So let's split this screen, open Visual Studio Code, make that full screen, and put our site here on the right, as I like to do. Has anybody used Studio Manager? What is it? Stage Manager from Mac? Like, I've tried it a little bit, but I don't really like it. I really like the desktop, this system on Macs, which has been there a while. I like the split screen like this. But Stage Manager, I don't know. I think you lose too much space using it. So we have a new site. That's great. Let's see what we have in the agenda. We talked about this, created this, and the root CSS. Josh Kamal is someone that I often cite, and a great inspiration for CSS tricks, JavaScript tricks. I do think he's a thought leader. He always makes a case for the fancy, like be more playful in your sites and that sort of thing. And that's the main reason that I want to add dark mode, even though probably for a portfolio site or a marketing site especially, you wouldn't want that. You'd want like something static, something that's not dependent to the user settings, so you can fulfill your vision and cast it and serve it as fast as possible. But I think there is a case to be made to like having some nice whimsy into the site, like make people that do want to click around, like try to find all the little Easter eggs you may have, engage a bit more. I think that's, if you delight your customer, then you've won them for a longer time. So I'm excited to add something like dark mode there. Don't know about sound effects, but we'll see. And one of the nice pieces that Josh has written is about the CSS reset. His own CSS reset. I have my own CSS reset that's, I guess, has similar reasonings than Josh's, but for this project, I do suggest visit this link in the description. Read this, read why we're using this type of reset there, but do not go to the end and copy and paste the CSS reset that Josh has created, even though that's what I'm gonna do now. But I guess I am copying this attribution here. So if you do want to read more, you can. And if you do want to copy paste, you'll be reminded that you want to do this. How do we insert this in SvelteKit land? Well, in source, we can create an app CSS, app.css file, and then paste this in, keep the attribution to Josh, the better box sizing, no margin, just to reset what some browsers are doing. HTML body height 100%, we'll see if we're gonna need that eventually. This is to, well, we can solve the problems first. Line height, I don't remember why he's adding this. And OpKit smooth font smoothing does make the fonts look better on Macs, on OS, on Mac OS, iOS, those sorts of devices. Sensibly make those elements block elements, max width 100 instead of individually doing it on every one. Make your inputs be matching your side instead of using the system font, and sensibly wrap in this style here. And it is looking for the root element and the next element. We're not using a next side. We may be looking for a SvelteKit tag or something like that, but I guess our root element is what? I think it has like a SvelteKit or something here. We can give it an ID of root as well if we really want to. But I'm curious to see what's the prefix SvelteKit adds here. Nothing, I guess. All right, so we can set here an ID of root just to make it a bit more obvious that this is where we're adding stuff. I wonder why they add this and they don't just add the body right here. This is the app.html. The only HTML file we will have in the SvelteKit project. This is the core template. SvelteKit will inject some magic here and inject some magic here, and we will be doing some magic ourselves for the theming later. For now, maybe we don't need anything like that. So I will have to read why they want to create a new isolation context here on the root element, but it doesn't look like we have it. So plunk, get it out of there. So will this look any better? I will restart the server just in case, even though it did say that it does automatically restart. Great. And now we can create a layout component. We can create a layout.server, layout.svelte. And there are links in the video about this. You can read more about that there. We won't need to load anything with our code layout yet, unlike the solution we've done for TechieCAD, I do believe. So we'll see. I'm just trying to remember where exactly to put it. I do imagine it should be here, the very first route. And we want a slot, so it will actually inject the HTML here. But we also want a script, even though we won't be annotating anything with TypeScript. And in this script, we will be importing our app.html. which our app CSS, sorry, which should make it eat the margin, make the fonts a bit crisper, thanks to the setting we added about the font smoothing and all of that. So now everything we put here is aligned. If you look at SvelteKit, you'll see what I prefer to add. Here, the important things that we'll be going over next is using some CSS properties, CSS variables. And also you'll notice that I'm bringing in Tailwind. I do still recommend Tailwind quite a lot, but just for this stream, I think we'll just use vanilla Svelte, vanilla styles and CSS and not Tailwind. Maybe we'll bring it in the end, but probably not. I will bring it after the stream before the next episode because I love Tailwind. And I do think it makes styling much easier. Right, let's reorient ourselves. We've added our custom CSS reset, so this should look consistent across browsers and devices. And then we want to introduce different CSS variables for light, dark, and auto modes, which is what I was talking about. So if you look at SvelteKit, if we go over here, you'll see that I'm establishing some common CSS variables about the transitions, how long the easing should be the transitions. We're not going to use that today. We will have a brand hue, which will be basing all the colors of the site on, which I think is a cool trick. And even though we won't be using Tailwind, I will be using the Tailwind palette for now. I think I will be picking like this cyan color to be our root color for the day. But if we do move on into this moving escapes project, I will ask, like, give me your logo, give me your brand color and all of that, give me your main cue. And this is the quick challenges as well. Adam has done some excellent episodes right after my own SvelteKit theme, dark theme mode video, or about that time, that has been good inspiration for tweaks on how I've been doing this. So make sure to search for good challenges on YouTube and see how Adam likes to do this. The big thing that we'll be stealing from this today is the icon that goes from light to dark. So I've slightly tweaked that a little bit. But I do like Adam's approach, where he is using some very light, small client-side JavaScript to make the theme toggle switch, which is unlike what we'll be doing today, which is that we'll have the server actually set up the theme to start with correctly and avoid the flash. But to do this, we are losing the ability to have like just one cast HTML file for every visitor of the site and then have them run some JavaScript on the client. But, you know, I don't think that's worth it. And it's a different approach to use today. All right. So what CSS variables will we actually need? We will need the brand hue that we've decided to use. And then for light mode, we'll create like a base color, I guess. Maybe a muted color, maybe we'll show some surfaces like the background surface, and then you have a card on top. That's what I usually find super handy. And the color of the shadow, which should match whatever the background color should be. I think that's a neat way to show that you've put a bit more effort on your site. If you just have like a black opacity shadow, it's gonna look all right, but not amazing. I think this is one of the subtle things that can add to how your site looks. And then this is where we'll be defining the color schemes and say that by default, the site's colors are based on the light theme. This is going to be your color. We will be passing this to Tailwind later on, but not now. If we are nested inside a dark class, we'll be applying the dark colors. And if we're nested inside the auto class, then actually If we are in the auto class and the user prefers dark color scheme, then we'll also be applying these dark color variables. Hopefully that makes sense. It will, I promise. Long story short, for this part, I think we need to not wholesale copy this section. Let's create it from mostly scratch. So in our app CSS, we'll have a CSS var section and say, like globally, everywhere, declare our brand hue. Now, what our brand hue is going to be, it's going to be based on this color, and hopefully, I was hoping VS Code here will recognize that this is a color and help me out break it down into the HSL version. But let's say that the HTML background color is this, just this hex code. And come on, VS Code, not even now. Usually it gives you like a little preview of the color here, and you can click it and then switch to different versions of that color. And it's super cool. But guess not today. Oh well, just the internet to the rescue. X to HSL. Done this before. So this is our hex. There you go. Tell me this is the HSL that we have. So our brand hue is this. And as we saw before, we'll be defining this set of colors based on the brand hue. Now, if you are a designer, or if you have a designer, they may be able to explicitly tell you, all right, according to your brand hue, usually they give you colors that that have the same hue. So if you look at the Tailwind palette colors, all of them, even though they look different, their hue is the same, and they are messing with the lightness and the saturation to give the different values, which is more appealing to the eye. But you can't really say, all right, I need 10 colors, so I'll just be adding 5 lightness and subtracting 5 saturation, and then I'm gonna go through the whole spectrum. There are many blog posts about the color theory of how you should be tweaking and picking those values. I'm not a designer, so I'm not gonna do that, but from prior experience, from prior studies here, is that these values kind of work, at least for the brand hue that I had before. Patok Tok in the comments. I'm very happy to be back. Thanks for your comment. All right, so we've defined our copy-paste color, or copy-base color, which will be our main text. Our muted color, which will be like our little text, like when you have like your notes for this pricing system, you put it at this color, which is of course legible, but maybe a bit more subtle. And then for our first background color, we have this. Let's see how it looks. So let's use the surface one color light here. And let's try to use the second color. And let's try to use the copy-paste color to see, just to see. I'm doing this correctly. Guess not. What am I missing? Ah, of course, it needs to be like HSL, actually, of all of this. Cool. So of course, what we're defining here is hue, it's this, and then we're playing with the saturation and the lightness to have slightly different colors. So just to see how all of them look like for us, like our muted color for this is this. We'll never be using this on a background. On backgrounds, we'd actually be using this one. And this one. Which should be like slightly different. I'll try to make a card component on top, so it will be a bit more obvious. Our HTML, we definitely want it to be this color though, and I guess we have this page here, and we can say this is a card. Let's play around a little bit. And we can even say, add some inline styles now that we don't have Tailwind just yet. Say that we want our div to have background color HSL var whatever this was. We want this to be surface 2 color. And we want our B to have color this. No. Which should kind of work, I guess. If we make the second color be like black. Yeah, all right, so we got it, but it's so subtle that it's still quite hard to see the difference there. I guess this is like even brighter, which makes me think, should I do it the other way around? No, usually the HTML background is this color. So yeah, for your, if you're super keen-eyed, maybe this we can make darker. You can see that the whole HTML is darker, and then the card is slightly lighter. And it would be the opposite way, the other way around, if we were doing it with dark mode. But yeah, a shadow, I guess, would also work. I think Josh has like a shadow generator as well. Maybe we can play with that. Nothing to do with this. With this video, but I just think it's fun, so we'll do it. Oh, he has changed this, which is cool. So he's defining these CSS variables, and then you apply, I guess, this as a shadow somewhere. So one of these classes should be applying this shadow. This is cool. Definitely need to tint the shadow. This is much improved from last time I saw it. So that's why I'm playing around a bit more. I do like the material style of having the angle be right at the top as well. Whoa, it's a lot of CSS variables. We will need a root to specify here. I wonder, do we need different shadows? Different shadow colors for dark mode? Maybe, probably, maybe not. So we won't be nesting this in root. Let's just do these shadow colors and all of that. And here, let's say that the shadow color is gonna be the brand hue. Dark mode, but first we're gonna play with the shadows and have some fun with it. So I guess these are gonna be like common. So why am I doing all of this? Because I want to add some CSS for like the shadow. And I suppose it's just a box shadow, right? So we'll see. Let's say that our little page, our div, has a box shadow of shadow elevation low. Hey, it works. And we have medium and high. Neat. And yeah, it's like super blue, because I guess more things on our side will be blue. We'll see. I like it for now, and we can tweak it later, because this is not the main thing of this video. The cool thing is that we have added some CSS variables here. We've added our light stuff, but we also need to specify for dark mode as well. And if your site has multiple themes, like you have like amber or whatever, that's the same way you would do it. Instead of having light and dark sections, you can have a fancy and azul or whatever else you want. But I do think the most common thing nowadays is to have light and dark mode that can also respect the user settings on what they prefer. So these should be the same as well. But what we want to do is say that by default, what we're getting I guess I can keep this. By default, our color scheme will be light, and our base color will be the light color. Our muted color will be this, blah, blah, blah. We're not doing shadow colors for now. We'll see about that. And I'm not specifying a header height. This is regarding the sticky header video, which that other site we were looking at had like some sort of sticky header as well. So I'm sure I will bring it in at some point. But this should mean that I can change this to not specify light here and just use whatever color we've got. So if we have dark mode, I believe is the next step, for everything that's nested inside a dark class, suddenly our color scheme is dark and our copy paste color is the dark color, etc. Which should mean that if in our app.html, if our HTML even has a class of dark, then our stuff switches around, which is quite cool. And we can add like a transition here to make the switch a bit nicer, but we can do this elsewhere. And I guess a lot of this stream is going to be how do we toggle this class in the HTML. The last thing to do is, if this class happens to be auto, and we want to say that if the user prefers the dark color scheme and they are nested inside the auto class, only then they should see the dark mode. Then they are in the dark mode setting and the base color is the dark color, etc. So if on my app HTML this is light, I should be getting the light version of the site. However, there is if I'm in auto, it should be respecting my preference of dark mode. And indeed, I do prefer dark mode. If I bring up the command palette here, I can emulate prefers color scheme dark, which I don't need to emulate because that's what I use. So I can actually emulate prefers color scheme light, and you see that for a user that prefers color scheme light, they do get the light CSS variables, which is great. This is what we want. May not emulate further. So do not emulate, and it respects my OS setting. So whenever we're in the auto class, it will go dark because that's my preference. But if we are explicitly in the light class, then it does nothing. It keeps applying the light class. And if we're in the dark mode, you wouldn't see a difference, but we would be using the dark mode in there. The reason we're using class here instead of something like data theme, I think that's more semantically correct, I guess, but no one really cares. And Tailwind does have the dark mode system where it is looking for a class to apply its dark mode trickery or handy things that you can actually apply. And lots of people already use a class to specify dark or light mode. So even though this is semantically correct, equally applying classes is perfectly semantically correct. And if it has more usage, then just do it. This is handier. This is what we'll be trying to do. Hello Jackson in the comments, and hello Albert. Great to find you and chat with you. All right. We are in a slight breakpoint, I suppose. We've specified the CSS variables here. We have shown the HTML file, and we are kind of saying what we're gonna do. So on this root file, we'll be aiming to change this class according to the user's cookie. So I guess by default would be in auto, but then if a user has a cookie set where they say they've clicked on our toggle and they want dark mode, then it will explicitly say dark mode. And if they've clicked on the moon, I guess, to get to the sun, then we'll be setting a light mode cookie. So no cookie for the user. Auto should respect their OS setting without flash of light, since the server will have rendered it and all the CSS will be applied. If they have a cookie, we'll use that one to specify that the class should be light or dark. We'll see how it goes. Again, this is different and less code than what we've been doing to TechieCat, where we've been applying this class inside the layout file. So in layout Svelte is where we were doing all this trickery, which does mean that you may get some flicker to switch to auto mode or something like that. You will need to run some JavaScript. here afterwards. I guess we did fix the flicker eventually. I'll see, I'll try it this way, I'll try it adding it here instead of nesting it this much. I do like, because the way Tailwind works, they want the class to be one level above your actual app. So in this way, we didn't need to have a div in our app, in our body, and then another div to actually put the rest of our app, just so everything inside our real content would be already nested one level above. Well, now, since we're putting the class in HTML, it should already be like body plus whatever we have on here. It should be deep enough for Tailwind to be happy. Jackson is asking, I do have a video on dark mode already, but people have been asking mainly because of the way I've been doing cookies in that video. The routes, the way routes work have changed since that video. I don't think they changed that much from the last stream we did versus to what it is now, but it is a bit different. So before I do another video on dark mode, I want to give it a try and see, is it really that different, or can we get it? Also, I'm taking this opportunity to do this little change, to do it slightly differently. As I said, trying to add it into the HTML, in the app HTML, instead of inside the layout. I'll see how I feel about that, and if it's pretty much the same, maybe just this stream will remain, instead of spending like 40 hours to make a video, and I'll find something more fun to do for a video. At the moment, I do think that background video, like a video as a background of something, could be fun and quick to do in like a short form video format, but we'll see. Internationalization is something that is also needed for this project, so that's also highly likely we'll be having a look at soon. Probably one or the other, background videos or internationalization. But if the dark mode is different enough and good enough, I may do a little update on that video too. We'll see. I love doing new things, that's for sure. So I'd rather be doing new content than redoing older content, so long as people can figure out like the little changes that are from then. All right, so let's get to the meat of it. We have seen the root HTML file. What we want to do different now is use a hook, a server hook, to apply this thing, whether it should be auto or light or dark. So SvelteKit does have a transform page chunk. But first of all, let's create a server-side hook. This will run every time our app needs to be rendered on the server. And we just need to add a server.ts here. Hooks server.ts, sure. And we want to export a handle. And for now, we won't be doing anything fancy other than that, transforming a page chunk. So let's say that we have this handle method, which is this flat arrow. Let's type this to be handle from SvelteKit. It should be async. And I'm thinking that in our app HTML, we can make this be something like theme. So nothing, it doesn't go to auto now. And we want to find this and make it go to auto here, which seems to work. And I do think it's fast enough, so it's not that hard to find the first instance of this. I think this will only do it for one. Yeah, so almost immediately in the HTML, it's going to find this and replace it with auto, and we're all fine and dandy. This shouldn't take too long. We don't want to filter or preload anything for now. So all we really need to do is have this theme value be derived by something. So it should default to auto, but we will be looking at a cookie and make it like light if the cookie is like that, or dark here. Right, so looks like this will work. We did immediately add this. I guess now is the crux of it, is we want to create the theme toggle button where we click it and then we set the cookie, and that's what we check here. I do think we can get the cookie. So it's inside the event, still great. So the theme, when cookies get theme, and we can pass the name and then options. To the options say, yeah, you can decode it. We don't want to decode it, that's fine. So if there is a cookie of theme, we want to use it, or else fall back to auto, which is going to be the case now. But hopefully soon enough, we will have a cookie here set. Yeah, that's going to be the theme cookie, and we're going to use it accordingly. What is going to be setting the cookie? Well, we'll have a nice icon here, stolen from TechieCat, which was adapted and stolen from this GUI challenges video here, because it's just awesome. Maybe we should steal it from Joss as well. I like this one because the moon has a slightly more pleasant animation as it rocks. Anyway, don't get too lost in the weeds here. What we want is, I guess, maybe a header component. We can have a header svelte and say that this is the header, and yeah, why not call it moving escapes, and then it has a nav, has an about page, video copilot, not video copilot, GitHub copilot, adding some stuff as usual, and then it has a theme toggle button. Here, let's add it into our layout. I'm not sure. Let's add it into just this. Now let's add it to the layout. It's fine. All right, looks horrible. So let's add div here for escapes. We may make this bigger at some point. Can I do a root here? Maybe in my app CSS. where we have this. We don't want it to set it to the light color explicitly. We want this. Good, a bit better. And now in our header, we want to get going with this button. Let's add some styles. It has to say that our header, we wanted to have display flex. To see if I still got it, both in general, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and Svelte, and if I can do styles without Tailwind. Yeah. Can I do it without GitHub Copilot? Maybe not. Align item center, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's pretty nuts. Cool, so we want to click this, and that should result in us setting a cookie. And this should get us nowhere for a 4. But hey, I guess even this one have a link sometimes. Autocomplete here, not quite helping. We'll want to do something about the very ugly underlines, but I guess that's a Tailwind thing we'll do in the future. Let's have a look at the Techie Cat theme toggle icon. So I have moved this to SvelteKit, and this class name, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, interesting. Some use linting here. I was thinking, toggle, where is it used? Here. Ah, right. So maybe we won't be needing the class name. We'll see. So this looks extravagant. So have a look at Adam's video. But according to whether we have dark mode or not, then we saw the moon or the star, essentially. We have like some fancy masks. And even takes whether the user likes to see animations or not to apply the nice transition effects here. So we're having a look. Is it on the auto? Is it on the dark? Is it on the light? And then we do similar checks. So I do think that I'll wholesale copy paste this. I've also been trying to have a look at game dev and how many times people say, oh, we'll build this from scratch. We'll just copy this Lyra project and paste it and then change a few names, and we did it from scratch. It's insane. But that's by the by. I have not made this from scratch. We made it for our other project. And let's see what we'll manage to do here. I guess we won't be applying a Tailwind class here, but inside the button, we want the theme toggle icon. And maybe, does that just need to be like bigger? Should be a string, of course. This is not React. Let's see, was our problem this? Guess not. I guess not. Is my problem that this is inside a button and it's applying something weird? Yeah. Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. So in our app.html, we have this template now. If we had light mode, the quickie, it has the nice sun. We had dark mode, it has the moon, and it has the appropriate one according to my setting. So if I was in the light mode, then it would do the sun, which is good. But the reason I want it to be in a button is because I want this to be a form. And the reason I want it to be a form is because I want to use SvelteKit form actions to actually set the quickie. So the user will say, I want light mode, and then SvelteKit form action will handle this and say, all right, now you got a quickie, and the next time you visit the site, yeah, you will be on light mode. But for that, I need a form, and I need a button. So if it's in the form, it's fine. But if it's in the button, then it's not fine. And should I quickly add the Tailwind? And I know there is like a button reset, CSS button reset that may help. Promising just. Nowadays, all you need is this. Oh my. So let's see here. Again, Tailwind does add its own reset there if you don't do anything funky. So it should be good. Maybe that's all it's doing anyway. We won't need it when we add Tailwind, but that's a story for a different day. What else are we doing here? Do we just not have it in a button? Oh, we have it in a button. And then we're specifying the width here, and it's happy. So what's that about? So in this site, if we do say SVG width to rem, all right, so it is gonna work. Would it work without the button reset? It would. I wonder why it didn't work before. Oh well. We'll find out another time. Hey Padeli, how are you? Nice to see you here. We may be doing a card roguelike if we start a game dev series. It's I know you'd love to see. Right. So we've got the button here. Maybe it's too big, maybe it's just fine. Maybe I want the nav as well to have all the items like this. There's some placeholder styling here really. Because we'll fix it later, that's not important. The important thing is that I want to click this and toggle the Svelte form action. I also want this to show like the hand icon for clicking, which should happen automatically, maybe because this is not a real form yet. It's not doing it. So let's see. We have this button. It's inside a form, so it should be a submit button inherently. I guess we've done this, and we are here in the form actions bit. And the method should be post. And we should probably have a named action for theme, because on your page you may have tons of stuff there. So, oops. Method post an action theme. And then, what should the attribute be? That's a great question that we'll figure out eventually, not now. So we are trying to hit the named theme action. We probably need to say that on the root we have this action, probably, and not on this page specifically. And we'll want to create this. So for our main route, we'd want to have plus page.server.ts magic file that will have actions. And this is great inspiration for us. We can type this as the actions from Svelte. From SvelteKit. And let's say that we just want to set a cookie. Let's say we just want to set the theme cookie to be light. We won't be using the theme for now, but we'll get it eventually. I don't want to do this, just this. So the question is, if I click this, will I be setting a theme cookie already? The answer is yes, which is awesome. So if I refresh, we do go into light mode because I have this cookie, and every time I refresh, this happens. However, if I don't have it, I revert. However, this doesn't change the theme immediately, so it doesn't know that something needs to be invalidated, I suppose. There are a few ways to get around this, but first of all, let's first try to toggle to the correct theme, I suppose. And how would we do that? So in the header, I do want to have an input, let's say here, and the value should be like light or dark, depending on whether I'm on light mode now or not. So if I use this here for the cookie, oh, it doesn't like this because maybe it's null. What's the error handling? Fail. Sure. If we don't have a theme, then fail. That's a new thing. I think that was renamed. I think you needed to throw an error at some point, but now you use the fail. Fair enough. Let's say that this is missing, but now should we say that this is not light on dark explicitly? Maybe? I'm not sure. Const is valid theme. This can be a string or a file, I suppose, at this point. Form data entry value. And then I guess, or null, why not? Theme exists. And theme is light, or theme is dark, hopefully, yeah. Or theme is auto. So here we can have like a little check if we want to be more particular about the allowed themes and not have anybody mess and try to be fancy and send a theme value that we're not expecting. But it wouldn't really hack our site. It's just possibly nicer to do. Maybe a good practice for things that may actually be hacking our site. But yeah, so if it's not a valid theme, return here. But theme is string. Is that how you do this? Guess not. Flip this. All right, so we have the type card here. And we return that the theme is a string. If it's either of those three, we can have like an enum or something. Type theme, which is light, dark, or auto. And we can say theme is theme here. And now that we pass this card, or see if it's not a valid theme, return, then TypeScript is clever enough to actually know that this is going to be the theme type, so either light, dark, or auto. And now, if we don't have the quickie, it's on auto, and if we click here, then it sets the light. What's this search bar doing there? Remove it. Ah, it's the input. Of course. What's this search bar going there? Ah, Johnny, come on. So I don't want this to actually be visible, but we now have the quickie set to be light, and if this were dark, and we click this and we reload, then you can see that it does set the dark mode here. But the question is, how does this know whether we were currently on the light mode or dark mode? That's the question. And we may solve this with a store. We may solve this by doing something like on mount. We actually check the HTML element or something like that. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So let's look at our handle again. Nowadays, let's look at our hooks. Do we put things? I guess we don't put things in locals anymore. Do we? Oh, we do. Great. And so we can put this here. And say in our hook that event locals theme equals theme. And to make TypeScript happy, we can go here and say, hey, the interface locals does have a theme that's either light, dark, or auto. And we can have like a common file that has the theme type declared somewhere else. And they are declaring the global namespace here. So I'm wondering, where to put the isValidTheme method. I think I will put it here. So was it in our other server file, this one? We had this. We can put it in our hook for now till we find a better place for this. Can export this, can export this. We can say what can we say? We can put this here only if the theme is valid, and possibly declare this. We can also namespace Can we import this from somewhere else? Let's see. I know that with TypeScript this works kind of funky. So this one knows that it should be theme. And if it's a valid theme, then we go there. Great. So we may do the theme handling in a different place in the future, but for now it's fine. And we have in the event locals the theme here, which means that you can probably pull it out in a layout component. There's a section on loading data. Does it have like locals here? Would love an example like this, I guess. So we're gonna create a layout server. Just trying to find something nice to copy paste. So next to our core main layout here, we'll create our loading method. It's layout server TS. And we are gonna say that our load method should be this. And according to the other place that we saw, we can just return theme. Which will be the locals theme, and we can fat arrow this. And then we're happy. And that's great. But how do we access this? In here, well, anywhere. I think we have the page store. Svelte creates a page store for us. So I think we may just access here. But how do you get it? Let's see. Like this. Cool. So I do believe that in our header component, in here, we can import the page store and derive the next theme to be page theme. If the page theme is dark, let's say that the next one is going to be light. And if not, then it becomes dark. And to keep TypeScript happy again, it's also in here, page data, that we add this. So let's see if that kind of works. Maybe it's in page data theme. All right, happier now, great. And we want this value to actually be next theme. And we also want to get this method from our hooks now. So now that this is dark mode, our hidden input here should be in light mode. Should be saying light. Can't see the value, so it probably didn't work. But let's see. This hidden input, the value is not light. And if I click it, do I set nothing? Maybe I do. I saw some flickering, so maybe it did something. Ah, that's correct. Cool. Guess because it's the hidden input, like maybe they're trying to save something. So you can see that immediately this changes, but of course over the network we may have some latency there. And are there any network operations happening? So if I click, oh. So interesting. It does reload quite a few things when I click. But it needs 2 clicks to actually realize that I've switched themes. Interesting. So because I am using the page store and I am using a form action, Svelte is clever enough to realize that something must change. However, it doesn't immediately change the theme here. So we start on light mode, we click, and it runs some things to understand that it probably needs to refresh or rerun something. But maybe because we are adding it straight to the HTML here, it doesn't immediately change that. Maybe it can't access the HTML part, which is interesting. And we need to navigate, I guess, for it to reload. Or not, it kind of does it in a flaky way. But let's see. So I click, doesn't do it. If I manually refresh, it respects it automatically. But I would love to see if this gets updated. So let's make it like a visible input there. We click, we'll go to light mode, and then we'll go to dark mode, but it hasn't updated yet. So does it not know that this has been changed already? Interesting. Interesting. And that's not the only problem that we have. What if we don't have a quickie and we are initially on dark mode? We are on the auto mode. We need to figure out at this point whether the user prefers light mode or not, and toggle it accordingly. So if we are on auto, so no quickie, let's go to the application again, delete this quickie. The value should be auto here, but it's not. Because we've hard-coded dark or light. In this situation, so if it's auto, the next theme should be light in my case. Or then it should check, is it dark now? If it's dark, then go to light, or else it should be dark. But this shouldn't be light. We should be checking to see what the user's preference is and have it work accordingly. Because now it does happen to work. Because I am in, I do prefer dark mode. But actually, if I were to emulate again, if I did prefer light scheme, I'd be on light scheme, I'd be seeing the sun, and then the toggle would still make it be light, which is wrong, and then I'd need to press again to actually go into dark mode. So we need to actually figure out whether this should be light or dark according to the user's preference. So there must be a way to do this. The user prefers dark mode. Should be something like that. Is it document Mats Media? This? Probably. I have remembered it, that's why I want to find it. Window Mats Media prefers dark mode. Stack Overflow. Sometimes it's correct. All right. So here we check again. And then they prefer dark mode, so it should be on the other one. It should be on light mode. Or it should check if we are on the dark scheme. So it's auto and all of this. Or else, check this out. But what did I add? What am I missing? Do I need... We'll get there, I promise. So if we are in the auto one, then I don't just want it to be this value. I want to check again if window match media matches. Oh, that's some gratuitous parentheses. Ah, right, of course. If it matches, I go light. If it doesn't match, I go dark. Okay. So now I'm on dark mode. Hopefully I click, I go to light mode. Great. Click again. Don't have cookie. Oy. So if I don't have cookie, it's trying to run this window match media thing, which is not possible because this tries to be server rendered. Huh. So instead of window match media, I think there is a helper in SvelteKit where you can detect whether you're on the browser. So if I'm on the browser, then I can check that the next theme value is this. I can check the user's preference safely and say, all right, they prefer light mode. So if they actually click here, when they are on light mode, they want to go dark. So they click and then they are on dark mode and they have the cookie. And if I wasn't emulating, then my preference is dark mode. So indeed, I want to switch to light mode if I click the thingy here. Fair enough. And why doesn't this know that this is kinda invalidated? I'm not sure. But maybe it doesn't matter because we wouldn't want to wait for the server to respect this. Like this is one of those things that should be zero latency. So we would optimistically update or just update, and even if the server crashes on whatever, the user will be on the mode that they want. It's fine. It's not gonna be a problem. So what we actually want is to have a look at actions, form actions, and then do they have like an enhance thingy? So we want to enhance that form and do an optimistic update. And all we need to do that is add the use enhance method here, bring this in from forms, and then in here I think if we do nothing, then it will just work if things are still the same. So the way forms work has also changed since that video that I had. So that's another reason why I did want to do this stream at the very least. But it does feel like what I'll try to do here is log the next thing that we got. So we click. Ooh. They do recommend keeping this. Interesting. Remember that thing that I deleted from here ages ago? I played too much with it. So let's add this. So we can give this the ID of root that Josh also wanted. The isolation context. Did we not add it? Let's call this root isolate. Should be fair enough. Should be happy now. Cool. And yeah, just remove the completely. Oh well. So now the next one is dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. And it does immediately change. Great. So all we need to do really is immediately change this, the class. So we want to find the HTML element. How will we do that? We know that we only have one class in the HTML element, but is that enough? I'm not sure. So as a recap, we are in the form action inside our header. Form action is here. We don't need our input to be visible anymore. And what we want is the moment we click this to also change this class here. So maybe what we want to do is query selector HTML. It's going to be the HTML element. And then I think there is specifically a class. Class can be the next thing here. So what happens if we do this? Like immediately it works. So now I'm just thinking, should we check what it is currently? JavaScript get element class. Don't really know. Maybe that's a problem for another day. It's just that if you actually had like, you know, a ready tag or whatever here, I think this would immediately override it. But for this site, that's not what we want. Sometimes you may add like Google Analytics or something like that, or Tag Manager or something crazy. Not crazy, something popular. And it would add stuff to your HTML, and then unintentionally, because you created dark mode, it would break. So that's what I want to avoid here. So what can I do? We can't toggle the other ones. So maybe if no HTML element, return. And class list toggle the next theme class, but then you need to know the current one. We know the current theme from this, all right? So we do have this. Brilliant. So maybe all we want is to toggle the previous class and then add the next class here, and that should work equally, and then keep it safe. So if some third-party thingy you've added here actually adds more classes, like JS, something, I don't know, these should still remain this way. So it will correctly remove and add whatever class you have. And let's see, does it actually work without the quickie? Yeah. And it still respects and adds the bare minimum. So even though for our app it would work without doing this, I think this is fine. I think this is better. And you may notice that there are no transitions, which is not great. So we'll add them. So that's why I had some transitions here. I had the long transition and the short transition, I guess. And the easing. Oh, so many things. So I guess all those things actually did need it. Like I've added them for a reason. So easings, copy these things and these. Some CSS variables to add. I do think this is a cool idea. I'll pat myself on the back. You want to be consistent with your transitions, and you can have like a short transition and a long transition, and even the long one shouldn't be like super long. And the easings I did steal from like a quick easings thingy that probably I should have as a dependency and then add on. But hey, it's simpler sometimes if you just have them specified in your file. So we have the shadows, we have the easings, all good. Now you can see here in all its glory maybe even more glory. Even more glory. How this looks. Hope you like it. This is the main stuff for today's stream, today's comeback stream. It still doesn't hover, even though it's oof. Of course, I need the about page for this to work. It still doesn't give me the little hand when I hover over this. Wonder why. Is it because I reset all button stuff? Probably. So this since we are here now, wherever we reset the button, I wonder. So let's do our button reset before. Let's do our button reset here. And also say I do want the button cursor by default to be pointer. That makes the most sense. So yeah, here you go. And let's add a rudimentary about page as well. So in our route, let's do about plus page.svelte. And in here we can have an h1 that says about us. And we can use Notion AI to write something cool here. So now when we click the about page, it actually goes here, and you can see that this, our theme toggle, still works. Is respected. This is all fine and dandy. I like it. And you can see that our shadow is a bit prettier here on dark mode. But before the next stream, I'll be bringing in Tailwind and make it look a bit better. For now, I think this is it. Let's see what else we had here. For Maxon to set a theme cookie, we did this. We toggled our theme without a reload. And then I can talk about how we'll use it with Tailwind. I've made a few videos and stream on adding Tailwind, so I won't do it yet again. At least not for now. I will do it offline. But there is also a Tailwind installer helper adder. I think it's called SvelteKit adder that you can use. I do like doing it myself because then when Tailwind has a break in the release or whatever, you kind of know what's going on. But if you already know what's going on, use the adder and move on with your life. Save a bit of time. But with how Tailwind works, you can set it so it will look for a specific class in your document, and everything within it will have dark mode applied. And then you can use the dark colon, whatever. So if you want something to have a different, any class of Tailwind applied when you're in dark mode, it should just work the way we did it, because we have our dark class right on the HTML element, then we have the body, and then even if we have yet another div here. So Tailwind should be well happy and respect that. But the way I use it is a mix of CSS properties, as you've noticed. If you want a sneak peek back on TechieCat, you can always have it, where I am using the CSS variables to actually say to Tailwind, I have some custom colors. The copy should have a base version, which is using the CSS variables that I've defined in app CSS, and says it's going to be the HSL, the hue, saturation, light value of this, divided by the alpha value. That's a bit of a funky syntax, but we can look at those projects, and you can have a better look of how that's supposed to work. So even though I do have the Tailwind colors set as primary, secondary, the two colors that I want from the Tailwind palette, actually on most of the site I do use specific new colors I've created that are based on the CSS variables that we've set. And as we saw, the big thing of this trick of dark mode is using those CSS variables that do change according to whether the dark class exists or the auto class exists and the user prefers the color scheme dark. That's about it though. So fun stuff today. And how different is it from my dark mode video? The biggest differences are that I am adding this in the app.html, like I made this up. You can use something that makes more sense to you. And then using the hook to transform the HTML that the server is going to spit out, find this template and add the theme there. So instead of creating a store like I did on that video, I'm just using the page store in a different way. I'm not using the layout to actually apply the value from the store, from the page store to a container here. This allows us to go a level up with our theme, but maybe it's not as handy I'm not sure. In the header, we did need to do this craziness where we look at the page store. If it's auto, then we check more things to see if the user wants light or dark mode. And this may be a bit simpler with a store, and we still do the optimistic update here when the form gets submitted to find the HTML element and toggle it there. So it's a trade-off. I think this may be a bit better. The biggest change from that video, aside that, is how exactly the load method works and the form actions work, which is figure outable if you followed SvelteKit. So I don't think I'll be doing a new video, but let me know if it's too confusing, if I rambled on for too long. I do think that, you know, with a maybe 15-minute video, we can do this all the way. However, also let me know what you'd like to see next. So for this project, the two big things that I haven't shown yet is the background video, which I'll probably be doing unless you tell me do the other thing, and the internationalization stuff. So this should be available in English and Greek. As you know, it's all Greek to me, so it's fine. But for users, there is not a specific like golden way to do this with SvelteKit, but there is a big discussion, a big issue, like a big discussion project on GitHub about best practices, maybe how you could do it. So I'm excited to tackle it, see how it works. Next.js is very bespoke, for example. It has a very, not rigid, like it has a clear way to do internationalization, let's say that. While with SvelteKit, it's a bit murkier, so I'm excited to try this one out. But it should be bigger. The benefits of doing the background video one is that I expect it to be a lot simpler, and therefore more fun. And also, it's something that you can do regardless the JavaScript framework, or if you are not doing JavaScript at all, it's just going to be HTML and CSS, I do think. Those are the big things we'll be looking. Next live for this will be Friday. We're back on Fridays, at least for now. Hopefully I can keep chugging along again and see how big we'll make this streak for 2023. So Friday, 2 GMT, 2 p.m. GMT, something like that. I am still broadcasting from Barcelona. I don't know for how long yet, but we'll see. Definitely Friday. Yeah, these are the big things. After that, we will be looking at some CMS integration as well, maybe accounts and a YouTube integration to see if you are subscribed, or you know, the TikToks or whatnot. Don't really know. I'll have to discuss it with the client. But first, it's gonna be fun CSS stuff and looks and internationalization, which has been asked about a lot. That's it for the day. So, thanks a bunch for watching. I'll have a couple more sips just in case there are any further questions for now. But I think it's been a fun stream back. Maybe I should do a coding challenge and see if I still got it in that way as well. All right, it's been a pleasure once again. Have a lovely day, have a lovely weekend, have a lovely life in general, but I will see you soon. See you next Friday.